Purpose does not arrive as a loud voice or a grand announcement. It does not descend from the heavens with fanfare or certainty. It arrives quietly like an underground current that begins to move beneath the surface of your life until one day you realize it's been flowing there all along. Purpose is not discovered in a single revelation. It is unveiled gradually in fragments through whispers, sensations, and subtle signs that only your soul can recognize. As Carl Jung once said, "What you deny submits you, and what you accept transforms you." Your purpose begins to reveal itself the moment you stop searching for it outside and start listening to the voice that has been waiting within you since the beginning. That inner truth never left. It was only waiting for the maturity of your consciousness to give it space. Today I want to share with you 5 profound signs that your purpose is beginning to reveal itself. Listen carefully. Because if these words resonate somewhere deep inside you, it may be that your soul has already begun to show you what you came here to do. The first sign does not appear in external circumstances nor in dramatic changes around you. It begins in the way your own energy starts to organize itself from within. Suddenly your thoughts, once scattered, conflicting, and chaotic, begin to align along a single stream. You no longer have to chase them or control them. They flow naturally toward a direction that feels inevitable, as if an invisible current were guiding them toward a common center. This sensation is difficult to describe with logic. One day you simply notice that the contradictions that used to drain you begin to lose their power. The many forces that once pulled you in different directions now begin to merge as though an inner gravity were drawing every fragment of your mind, body, and soul into one vibration. It's not something you decide. It's something that happens through you. That internal order is unmistakable. It's not about outer calm or life suddenly becoming easier. It's about an inner coherence that emerges in silence. Your thoughts connect. Your emotions stop fighting each other. Your body begins to move in tune with what you think and feel. It is as if a magnetic field had been activated at the core of your being, and everything that you are starts to arrange itself around it. Jung said that a human being reaches wholeness when they integrate their scattered fragments into a single unified self. That's coherence. And that is exactly what begins to happen when your purpose starts to unfold. Your life stops feeling like separate pieces and begins to form a living tapestry. And the most extraordinary thing is that it doesn't happen with noise or spectacle. It unfolds quietly like a melody emerging from the chaos of noise. That order doesn't come from your will. It comes from what your soul has always known, that there is a design trying to manifest through you. This is the first confirmation. Your purpose begins to show itself when your inner world stops fighting against itself and starts vibrating as one. That sense of harmony cannot be forced. It feels like a living presence that begins to inhabit you. You notice that the ideas which once competed for your attention now weave together naturally as if they were threads belonging to the same pattern. Your mind no longer feels fragmented. It begins to offer clarity, not in the form of immediate answers, but as a constant, gentle direction. Even your most opposite emotions start to find their place. You no longer repress sadness, nor do you exaggerate joy because both begin to feel like parts of the same language inside you. Something begins to whisper that everything has a place when it's held in balance. Your body too participates in this transformation. You breathe differently, not because you try but because your entire being starts to follow the rhythm of coherence. Movements lose tension, gestures soften, and the rigidity that you've carried for years begins to release itself naturally. It's as though a hidden architecture were being built within you. You can't see the blueprints, yet you can feel them in the way your life starts to take shape. What was scattered begins to converge. What was broken begins to integrate. What was confusing begins to form a new language that only your soul understands. This internal reorganization is the unmistakable sign that your purpose is emerging. It doesn't announce itself with words or promises. It announces itself by creating a gravitational center inside you, an invisible nucleus that draws every part of your being toward the coherence needed to sustain what is coming. You feel it because you stop living in contradiction with yourself. That is the true beginning of purpose. The reconciliation of all your parts under one rhythm. Another sign that your purpose is awakening appears when your inner language begins to change. I'm not referring to external images or symbolic dreams, but to a subtle code that begins to form inside you. Suddenly, certain thoughts arrange themselves into phrases you've never spoken before. Words that were absent from your inner dialogue appear effortlessly. Ideas that once seemed impossible to express now emerge with clarity as if your mind had learned a language that was always hidden within you. This language is not borrowed from books or taught by any teacher. It is the private vocabulary of your soul. These words, images, and meaningful silences become a new grammar that guides you from within. What's most fascinating is that you don't need to fully understand it to know it's real. Your body recognizes it before your intellect does. Each time one of these phrases or symbols appears, you feel a strange certainty, a deep calm and unexplainable clarity. Jung spoke of how the collective unconscious communicates through symbols. What you are experiencing is the awakening of that secret archive. Your purpose is revealing itself through a language crafted uniquely for you. A code you don't need to translate because it vibrates on the same frequency as your destiny. This silent announcement marks the nearness of your purpose. It's not a language for others. It's a sacred communication between you and the essence of what you came here to live. Thoughts that once felt confusing now form complete sentences that carry immediate meaning. These are not memorized reflections, but spontaneous revelations that appear at the exact moment you need them. You don't know where they come from, yet you feel they belong to something much larger that lives inside you. Sometimes this language doesn't even use words. You begin to perceive invisible structures, patterns of meaning that connect like puzzle pieces falling perfectly into place. What once seemed separate now becomes part of a greater narrative, and that coherence becomes a silent compass. It doesn't tell you precisely what to do, but it gently guides you toward what feels true, and something even more revealing happens. This language transforms the way you perceive yourself. What once appeared as internal conflict now feels like complementarity. What you once labeled as weakness now finds its place within a wider system of meaning. Your purpose reveals itself when your psyche develops a language capable of holding the totality of who you are. You don't need to decode it like an external message. The transformation happens through how it reshapes your perception. You become more aware of your thoughts, more sensitive to your emotions, and more discerning about which ideas deserve your energy and which are merely passing noise. This new language is a sacred architecture. Every word, every symbol, every sensation that appears within you is like an invisible brick building the inner space where your purpose will dwell. Even if you can't see it reflected in the outer world yet, inside you, the story that will sustain it is already being written. And that is why this sign is so powerful. It reminds you that purpose does not reveal itself as an external event but as an inner language that begins to organize your universe from within. Then there comes a moment when you begin to perceive something even deeper. The sense of inner space expands. I don't mean physical space but the way your consciousness experiences itself. Before, everything inside felt tight, like your thoughts were bumping into each other in a small, crowded room. But suddenly there is spaciousness. It feels as though your awareness has opened an invisible window to infinity. This inner space is not emptiness. It is fertile ground created to hold what is being born in you. It's not a superficial calm but a genuine expansion of your capacity to hold reality. You find yourself able to contain more emotions without breaking, to entertain more ideas without confusion, to face more questions without fear. Your inner world becomes wide, flexible, alive with the texture of something preparing to contain a greater destiny. That silent expansion is a sacred sign. Your purpose begins to unfold when your soul grants you the inner space to sustain it. Life does not give great missions to small containers. It first teaches you to feel spacious inside. And only then does it place within you what must be expressed through your existence. Carl Jung once said that the soul expands when it prepares to integrate the unknown. That is the key. The inner space that begins to unfold within you is the confirmation that what once seemed impossible to contain has finally found a place to live. That inner expansion doesn't arrive with fireworks or fanfare, but as a quiet certainty that reveals itself in the smallest details. Suddenly, you can hold emotions that used to overwhelm you. Sadness no longer drags you into despair. Joy no longer confuses you. Doubt no longer paralyzes you. Everything fits inside you without making you lose your center. Your capacity to hold, to contain, begins to grow. What used to overflow you now feels manageable, as if you had discovered a new invisible organ capable of sustaining what has no shape or weight. That invisible organ is your inner space, a landscape that your purpose gradually expands so it can dwell within you. You begin to notice that you can tolerate the unknown more easily. Before, you needed immediate certainty to feel safe. Now you can live with uncertainty without anxiety. That comfort in what has not yet been revealed is a clear sign that your soul is preparing for something greater. Purpose never arrives in a narrow space. So when your inner world begins to widen, it's a sign that something immense is about to inhabit it. It's as if life itself whispered, "I need to give you more room because what's coming is too vast for your old container." Jung sensed that the psyche expands whenever it approaches its true task. And you know this because you feel it. What once shattered you no longer breaks you. What once exhausted you no longer drains your energy. You are wider now, deeper, more capable of holding everything without collapsing. If you've ever felt this new space opening within you, as if you could breathe deeper into your own soul, recognize it as the beginning of something sacred. Your experience might become the mirror someone else needs to confirm that their purpose, too, is beginning to unfold. That inner space is not just expansion. It is resonance. Before, your thoughts and emotions bounced like chaotic echoes inside a closed room. Now everything within vibrates with clarity, as if your soul had refined the acoustics of your being. You become someone who can listen with precision to what was once lost in noise. Not because the world changed, but because within you there is now a space large and silent enough to receive everything without distortion. That widening within has a transformative power. You stop feeling the urge to escape your circumstances because you realize there is enough space inside you to hold them all. And when you discover that you can hold more than you once believed, a new magnetism emerges, the certainty that what's coming will not crush you, but will find its rightful place within. This is the beauty of the process. Without realizing it, your soul has been training you for what you once asked for. What felt like delay was actually expansion. What seemed like emptiness was the construction of an invisible foundation now revealed as the home where your purpose will dwell. When you experience this inner spaciousness, when your being no longer feels confined or limited, it means that something is preparing to unfold inside you. Purpose is not a distant destination. It is a guest already knocking at your door, waiting only for the space within you to be wide enough to welcome it. And then something extraordinary happens. Your will begins to transform. Actions that once felt heavy, that required constant pushing, suddenly become lighter, almost effortless, as if something inside you began moving on its own. It doesn't mean that life becomes easy, but that the inner resistance that once drained you begins to dissolve. The energy you used to spend convincing yourself, forcing yourself, dragging yourself forward, has now been replaced by a natural impulse. You rise and act, not because someone told you to, not because you pressure yourself, but because there is an inner current moving you gently forward. That flow is not coincidence. It is the sign that your purpose has already begun to inhabit you and is guiding your steps. Life no longer needs to impose discipline from the outside when meaning flows from within. What once felt like empty routine now becomes a riverbed through which your energy flows without resistance. Jung said that when the soul finds its path, it moves as naturally as rivers flowing to the sea. That's exactly what you feel now. The current is no longer interrupted. Your effort is no longer a forceful push. It becomes accompaniment. And here lies the wonder. You begin to realize that it's not you forcing yourself to live. It is life itself living through you. This shift from tension to flow is powerful confirmation that your purpose is already writing its script within you. You no longer depend on motivation or reminders. You simply find yourself in motion. Tasks that once seemed endless unfold effortlessly as if your energy knew exactly how to distribute itself. This flow doesn't erase exhaustion, but it transforms it. Before, tiredness was a sign of inner resistance. Now, even in effort, you feel direction. You sense that what you're doing doesn't erode your being but builds it. The change is subtle, almost invisible at first. You find yourself advancing in processes you had delayed for years. And you're not doing it from pressure but from a quiet clarity guiding you. Movement appears naturally because a path now exists within you. And your will follows it just as water follows the course of a river. This transition is undeniable evidence that purpose is already alive in you. Your will stops being a battlefield and becomes an ally. What once drained you now feels like continuity, as if something greater had taken over the direction of your effort. And here lies the mystery. You don't feel like you're forcing anything, but you're not passive either. It's a strange balance between surrender and action, between letting yourself be carried and still walking with firmness. That harmony appears only when your purpose begins to reveal itself. Because then life no longer flows against you but with you. Have you ever felt that inner flow? The moment when acting stopped feeling like a burden and became a natural impulse. If you have, know that it's your purpose aligning itself with your energy. Then something subtle but profound happens in your relationship with questions. Before, questions filled you with anxiety. You thought you had to answer them immediately. Now you begin to see that questions are not voids to be filled but thresholds your soul creates to open new paths. You begin to feel fascinated by the unknown. You stop trying to resolve everything instantly and instead you start treating your questions as sacred spaces. Each question becomes an announcement, a symbol of something about to unfold within you. Behind every doubt lies a fragment of your purpose slowly revealing itself. The absence of answers no longer paralyzes you. It invites you to observe, to listen, to go deeper. Questions become seeds that bloom in time. Your soul learns that not every mystery must be solved now. Some exist only to broaden your perception and prepare your inner space for what's coming. Jung said that the soul is nourished more by mystery than by certainty. And that nourishment is what you experience when your purpose begins to reveal itself. The calmness to hold an open question without falling into despair is confirmation that you've entered a new dimension. One where the essential is not always answered immediately, but always revealed when you're ready. Your new relationship with uncertainty marks a threshold. Only those who have begun walking their true path can honor mystery without rushing to close it. Questions stop feeling like locked doors and become passages under construction. You notice that each doubt echoes differently now, as if the very act of holding the question were already a form of progress. You start realizing that not every question exists for a quick answer. Some are meant to give you direction, others to refine your sensitivity, others to expand what you're capable of embracing. Instead of pressuring you, these questions become companions, gentle reminders that your purpose doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds in stages. Your thinking changes too. You no longer jump from conclusion to conclusion, searching for desperate certainty. You can coexist with the unfinished without feeling lost. That state isn't passivity. It's maturity. You begin to understand. The truth also manifests in fragments. And the tone of your inner dialogue transforms. The questions that once sounded like accusations, why haven't you achieved this? Why are you still here? Start turning into invitations. What part of you wants to grow here? What new dimension of yourself needs space? Each question becomes a symbolic doorway. You don't need to walk through all of them now, but you recognize that each one points to an area of expansion that your purpose is already preparing. And when you can hold those questions without fear, your soul proves that it's ready to receive answers larger than it could once bear. When you look back, you realize nothing was in vain. Every silence, every piece of chaos, every apparent void was preparing your inner world so that your purpose could finally emerge. Because purpose is not handed to you as a prize. It is born within you like a slow awakening. And that birth requires space. It requires maturity. It requires that your soul has learned to listen to what the ego never could. The signs are not abstract spiritual ornaments. They are real transformations. An internal order that gives you coherence. A new language guiding you from within. An expansion that allows you to hold what once broke you. A will that flows instead of forcing. And a new relationship with the questions that once terrified you. All of this is proof that what lives inside you has already begun to unfold. Your purpose is not a faraway destination or a secret that someone else holds. It is the deepest voice of your being, reclaiming space in your everyday life. It is the script your soul wrote long before you arrived here. And now through these signs, it is reminding you. So allow yourself to trust what is already moving. Don't see your purpose as a distant horizon. See it as a seed already sprouting within. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to recognize that everything you're feeling now is already part of that revelation. If this message touched something deep within you, it's because your soul was ready to hear it. Let it echo inside you. Let it remind you that what you seek is not outside, but already unfolding quietly within. Subscribe, stay with us, and remember this. Whatever your soul keeps in silence never truly disappears. It waits patiently in the unseen corners of your being, gathering strength until the moment arrives when it can finally reveal itself. One day, often without warning, that quiet truth that has been whispering within you finds its voice. It rises from the depths, not through words but through signs, coincidences, emotions, and events that align perfectly to lead you toward what was always meant for you. Thank you.